Pete Bercich and Paul Allen. Happy now to be joined by Minnesota Vikings General Manager Rick Spielman on this beautiful Monday in Eagan, Minnesota at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. Mr. General Manager, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Pretty well. Now, with all of the adapting through the offseason, now you're here, you got them out there, we can start judging who's good, who's doing it right, stuff like that. Rick, the more you settle in, with obviously fewer distractions, are you beginning to notice an insulated feel with the team and the coaches and everything, obviously, that you've never seen before?
I think, everybody's getting used to the protocol that we have to abide by as far as the testing when you get in the mornings, to the tracers that you see on my wrist right now that we have to wear, to our mask that we're wearing in the building. So there's a lot of new, but I think as you've seen, we've been here for a couple of weeks now, that everybody's starting to get used to the new protocols and everything that we have to abide by. And now you can just notice, even in practice, the last 2 days, we finally got the team together, and now you see them out there for the first day in pads. So we're excited to get started. It feels like football now.
And as you can see on Fox 9, we have this drone coverage of practice that is absolutely terrific. Pete?
And Rick, so as a general manager and a personnel guy, you guys absolutely love film. You love film for evaluation. You get to watch all of the other teams in the NFL in their preseason games. Now there's not going to be any film. There's not going to be any games to evaluate your own players and other players in the league. And what is your reaction to that, and what are your thoughts on that? Are you going to be able to see enough in practice over the next few weeks of your own guys to make those kinds of same decisions?
I think we'll be able to see enough. I think Coach Zimmer will put this team in a position where not only do we got to get ready for that opener without preseason games against Green Bay, but also so we can get the proper evaluations, because you're not going to see these guys watching down or running down live on special teams. So we're going to create some game type situations and may have a couple of live periods so we can get some tackling in, but also being smart at the same time. As far as trying to cover the other teams, this is the first time we're not going to be able to do that. So, but with George Payton and and Ryan Munnins and Jamal Stevenson, those guys have came up with a plan on how we can adapt. And so we put in a couple of things that I won't talk about on how we could potentially still cover the things that we need to cover in the preseason, although we're not going to see them live or on tape in preseason games.
Now, when it comes to special teams, Rick, not only here but everywhere, seriously, navigating special teams with no preseason games, how difficult is that?
Ask Pete, because he may not have been on the team.
Absolutely right.
He may have been doing KFAN a long time ago.
Exactly
hey, man,
right.
It's KFAN. But anyway, go ahead. But seriously, though, I mean, I'm sure you have your gunners. I mean, you got Abdullah, Amir Abdullah, phenomenal special teams guy. Punt return, kick return, and just the communication of running in and out and, like, knowing where to go,
Well, a lot of that you can do during practice, as far as, they go through a rehearsal on game management situations, running punt team on and off. Fourth down, we didn't make it, so Coach Zim will run the punt team out there. Or if you want to go for a field goal, what they call Mayday, there's just a whole bunch of things that we're going to be able to do. You're just not going to see it in an actual game. But you got to also know that once we get into that game, just like 31 other teams, it's going to be the first time that a lot of these young kids especially are going to be in those situations. So you can try to emulate as much as you can out here on the practice field, but it's not like being in a live game. So I'm sure there'll be some growing pains as we go along, but very excited about what we've seen so far, especially in our young guys, and can't wait till we continue through camp.
Now, Rick, you unlike every other offseason, you didn't have a chance to sit down and see these guys on the hoof. Is there give me 2 or 3 names of guys that have come into the building that you've seen that passed the eye test, that look like they've done their work in the offseason? Because they had to have been a little nerve-wracking for you guys, because you really didn't know what kind of shape and what kind of physical condition these guys were going to come in.
I would say just in general, they all came in great shape. In fact, we had the body weights, the body fats all taken when they came in. you can tell a lot of these guys came into shape. We weren't disappointed in really anyone when they came in and looked like after a long off season. And I think that goes back and reflects the type of character, how important football is to these guys. And I know, for us to try to reach our ultimate goal, I know it's just as important for these guys in the locker room. So they took care of themselves, and we were actually, I wouldn't say surprised, but very pleased with how everybody came back in shape. And just to give you a little hint, Pete, if I start mentioning names, there's maybe 31 other teams out there who do not know their names, but if I'm giving them high praise on the TV and in the media, all of a sudden their names become known.
Or hint. You could also okey doke them too. You can say, this guy looks great.
Yeah.
He only has one leg.
Yeah,
hey, he still looks great.
I had no idea Penn State had a track team. But
hey, Oli Udo looks very good at corner this year.
Right.
There you go.
Hey,
there you go.
Well, one guy we know was prolific in college, whether it's inside or outside. Your first-round pick, one of your two, Justin Jefferson, virtually speaking, then you get him back, strength and conditioning, organized team activities. Now, just overall, what are you liking about Justin?
I think it's everything that we've seen on tape, everything when we're actually out scouting live that we saw when we went out and scouted him. Not only does he have great length, but he has great catching radius, very nimble, being able to adjust to off-target throws. The one thing that really stands out is his route running ability and his ability to accelerate upfield, to drop his weight, to get in and out of cuts, and then accelerate after the catch. So he's been very impressive so far, and we're looking forward to see what he does for us.
Last one for you, Mr. GM. Rick Spielman, nice enough to join us on KFAN, Fox 9, and Vikings.com.
I just got to ask you,
what happened?
When I'm standing here and I show you some of the jukes and things like that, does that add to the broadcast?
Well, it depends on if it's sponsored by TikTok, because then maybe we can monetize it. But Verizon Vikings Training Camp Live will do for now, boss. Speaking of bosses, first of all, publicly, congratulations on the contract extension for you, well-deserved, and head coach Mike Zimmer. Working with the Wilf family, whether things are normal or they're not, and maybe it's like it took a little longer to get done, it got a little weird, whatever. Working with that family, for you specifically, how important has that been for you?
It's I can't even put it into words. What they meant not only to this organization and to this fan base, but when you're talking about individually, how they take care of their employees, what they mean to me personally, and we've been together for 15 years now, and it's a reflection of how their family-run business is, and that same concept comes here within our building in the Minnesota Vikings. So I feel like the most blessed man in the world to be able to work for this organization and be able to work for that ownership group.
Hey, congratulations on getting those guys back out on the field. Keep everybody healthy, and a month from now, you got Green Bay at US Bank Stadium. Thanks for the conversation, Rick. We appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to do a little side juke and then head out to the field.
Yep, this part of the conversation courtesy of TikTok. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.